We live in a world where the main sentiment whenever we get a new good Superman product is, I can't believe I'm invested in a Superman story. The main reason behind this is that Superman's recent, well, it's not even recent, it's been a decade at this point, but his recent movie appearances have left people thinking that Superman is a silent, brooding, Jesus-like figure whose problems are beyond the mortal man. Not gonna lie, that was me when I was 14 after watching Batman vs Superman. I was also a kid that loved watching 2-hour breakdowns of why the things I don't like are bad, and was made incredibly aware that the characterization of Superman was done horribly wrong. My Adventures with Superman got Superman right. Who would have thought that the anime adaptation would be the one thing to not mess it up? This is finally the series that we have been waiting for. I already made a video about how this series was going to save this character, and I'm glad I did, because this series did Superman justice, and it rules. Superman is the best of all of us, an incredibly human character who cares about the people around him, who not only is ready to fight against the villains, but ready to stay afterwards to help with the cleanup of the city. Whether it is a metropolis destroying monster, or your cat is stuck in a tree, it matters, and he will be there to help. My Adventures with Superman encapsulates that essence. The fiber of Clark's being in this show embodies that. From the moment he's first put on screen, to the credits in the last episode, that shines through. My Adventures with Superman gets it right in so many good ways. The way Clark interacts with the world around him emboldens that as well. If you haven't noticed, the title of the show is from the perspective of Lois Lane. The spotlight is split to focus on both Clark and Lois, and foster a fantastic dynamic. Not to discount Jimmy Olsen. What I'm getting at is romance! The swooning of Clark and Lois is the show for me. You can take or leave the villains, the Kryptonian backstory, and you can throw out the bestiality subplot, I do not care. What we have here is an amazing romance that is different from a usual lover's arc. From the moment Clark and Lois meet, they are both smitten. Something that is not seen a lot in stories. Since the dawn of time, romances have involved a chaser and an at best indifferent and at worst reluctant chasee. It was a breath of fresh air to see a romance unfold where both parties are completely down to pound faces from the start. Whenever they clash heads about the methodology used to find a scoop for a story, the soft sit-down moments where they are genuine and honest with each other, the moments where Lois ogles at Clark's peak male physique. There isn't enough love that I could give to their relationship. Beautifully executed. And the comedy relief, Jimmy Olsen isn't a cheese grater on my ears. I was very much expecting him to be, but no. Jimmy is my man. The only one that gets any work done while the lovebirds get their pants wet in the other room. Jimmy is very fun and enjoyable to watch through and through. I'm a flame bird stan. Forget what I said earlier about the villains not mattering, because they do. The villains in My Adventures with Superman are lackluster. With the exception of Dr. Ivo, who I will discuss later, he is incredible. They are introduced too fast and swept off the stage too quickly to make an impact. The character design fails at making them look at all interesting. All I'm seeing are gray suits and angled hair, and it doesn't go a lot deeper than that. I'm ready to see more of Twinkle Lex Luthor in the next season. If they were to get any villain right, it needs to be him. The anime art style of this show is great. I love the protagonist character designs. All of the elements come together and pop really well. The animation works mostly for what it is trying to accomplish. The only thing I can really complain about is the impact Superman has on his villains. I don't think it's enough. When Clark turns off his alarm, he decimates that ish. Or when he pulls the faucet off of the sink. I love that because it is so real. But when he fights most of his monsters, robots, I feel like he should be shooting right through those things. I don't feel like he is as powerful as Superman would be. Maybe that is part of the show since he got his powers later than most Superman do. But that doesn't change the fact that a punch from Superman should be devastating. And that feeling is missing when I see Superman fight his rivals. In all of the scenarios except for one, which I will talk about later. There are a lot of things that grow on you as you watch the show. At first, I didn't feel like Jack Quaid did a good job of voice acting Superman. I heard right through it and I didn't hear Clark. The theme song felt out of place for the show the first time I listened to it. But by episode 7, I was rocking out to it, ready to see more. Now I'm going to dabble in spoiler territory. If you haven't finished the show or haven't started it, God forbid, now would be a good time to subscribe to Gagnutties. If my humble words can't convince you, then how about one of these? Oh. My spoiler-free review of the show is an 8 out of 10. It is incredible. I love Lois and Clark. They are goals upon goals. The show is phenomenal. Seriously, there are spoilers ahead as of now. Superman isn't immediately granted the powers that we know from Superman. All he can really do is fly and fast. Throughout the show, Superman gains the abilities periodically, which I like. It would be an overwhelming spectacle to see him grapple with all this stuff at like 12 years old. And there would be less plot today for it. I like how they used the ice machine to initiate his laser vision. Excellent plot device right there. The only thing stopping Clark from helping Metropolis 24/7 is his ignorance. Whenever Clark gets his super hearing abilities, he doesn't sleep for days because he's out there helping people constantly with any little thing they need or inconvenience or problem, because his only goal is to help as many people as possible. That line that he says, "I just want to help people," or "Can you not believe that someone just wants to help?" are corny, and I groan whenever they hear that. Could they not have just found a different word or a different way to phrase that? I love this character's motivation from the deepest core of Superman. It's why I picked up this show in the first place. But this sounds like computer dialogue in a bad way. The multiverse is already a part of this universe. At first I had my doubts about this inclusion, but if they hold off on the multiversal travel until the main plot is mostly solved, I will be a happy camper. It is still too early for this. It's hard to find a good Superman story in one universe, let alone a multiverse. Let's pump the brakes on the League of Lois and the Elf. Not Cat, Mr. McSplickadick. Speaking of League of Lois, the tease of the Injustice Superman isn't upsetting me as much as it is stressing me out. I feel like the seeds of doubt that were planted in Lois's head during the League of Lois episode, when she found the green ball of horrors, haven't fully been uprooted yet. She is tight-roping on the edge of doubt, with the hope that this universe's Clark would not fall to evil. But at any moment or wrong move of Clark, she could trip into believing that Superman is evil, which would no doubt cause emotional turmoil for both Lois and Clark, leading to an everlasting snowball of Lois distrusting him. A lot of low points in their relationship are yet to come, and it's stressing me out. They deserve to be happy. Dr. Ivo is my favorite villain in this series because he has the best motivation of any villain to me. He's the only one that has had their life seriously negatively impacted by Superman, so his hate-filled revenge boner works well. The Tech siblings had nothing before and after Superman got involved. The only thing that really changed was the hands delivering them to a cell. But Dr. Ivo's S&P 500 company went belly up after Superman stepped into his life, and now he's a pruned fruit of a person, in a figurative and literal sense. Whenever Superman has his last confrontation with Dr. Ivo, my previous critique about Superman's attacks not feeling impactful goes out the window. The moment where Superman X-ray visions the battle beast and shoots right through to the man controlling it is the best power moment of the entire show. I got chills during those impact frames. It's so perfect, an excellent display of Superman's power. Another villain that I think is done exceedingly well is the General. His PTSD flashbacks of the first Kryptonian invasion on Zero Day sells his want to stop Superman. I wouldn't say he's a villain. I think he's flip-flopped in the end of the show to be a good guy. But, you know, he was like a good guy before too, but like, I don't know, on the side of Superman. Speaking of that moment, the tension between him and Clark and everyone else during that Thanksgiving dinner, oh my God, it gets to me so bad. It's so stressful. Are the Kryptonians extinct? Why have they programmed their robots to automatically destroy planets? I thought the reason for Clark to be sent to Earth was that Krypton was being destroyed. You can see it happen on Zero Day, which I assumed happened on the same day that Krypton was destroyed and Clark was sent to Earth. There's like a white bomb on the other side of that portal that stops the invasion. Is that not what that is? So why are these machines still being? They should be destroyed. I don't really understand what's going on here, but it was a sweet moment when Clark's bio father hacked all the Kryptonian ships and stopped the invasion. I just want more answers than we were given. I can't wait to find out more next season. My Adventures with Superman is a great show that displays the best parts of Superman and his universe in excellent ways. Clark and Lois are premier highlights of the whole shebang. They steal the spotlight away from anything else that you could possibly be caring about, because their romance is so beautifully done. That is the conclusion of myself, Gagnutties' thoughts on my adventures with Superman. If you want to follow my weekly gleek on the first half of the season, you can click to my left. If not now, it'll be there in a few seconds. And if you want to watch the cheapest boat ever be made, you can click to my right. If I ever start reviewing other media, or maybe like season 2 of the show, a little note to myself here is that I want to review media in a way that isn't being done right now. And I don't know how to do that. And I don't know what that means really. But when I figure it out, that's what I'm going to be coming back with. Back when the show was airing and I was doing the weekly gleek, I kind of fell into the white man reviewing children's media trap. And God, do I not want to do that. Thank you for watching a Gagnutties production. Goodbye.